Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. On behalf of the Human Development Council and Civic Tech St. John, I want to welcome you and to thank the candidates for participating and for all of you for taking the time to engage in this important civic conversation. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're gathered on the traditional unceded territory of the Luistikui and Mi'kmaq people. The Woolastoq, the river that connects this region to a much broader homeland, has been a place of life, travel, and community for thousands of years and remains central to that identity today. As we come together this afternoon, we recognize that the issues we're discussing, community, housing, and well-being, are experienced differently across communities, including Indigenous communities. We offer this acknowledgement as a small but important step in recognizing that history and our shared responsibility move forward together. This afternoon's forum is intended to provide a respectful, nonpartisan space for candidates to share their perspectives. The Human Development Council and Civic Tech do not endorse candidates. Our role is to support informed, thoughtful civic engagement. So a quick overview of the format. Candidates are seated in a predetermined speaking order selected by draw. For each question, you'll have about a minute and 15 seconds to respond. This microphone will be passed along the table, and a timekeeper at the back will indicate when your time is getting close to being done. From time to time, I may ask a follow-up or invite one or two additional responses. I won't be able to get back to everyone each time, but I'll do my best to keep things balanced. We'll move through as many questions as time allows. We'll ask everyone to keep the tone respectful and focused. So let's start. I'll pass the microphone and I'll get the first speaker. If you could tell us a bit about yourself and why you decided to run.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Wyatt, and the reason that I'm running is a 3-for-1. It's for my 3 kids, and I'm trying to build a better future for them. Common Council needs voices that represent members of our community that are at my stage of life, parents raising their children here, and working to make St. John a great place to grow up with real opportunities for their future. That starts with reestablishing the connection between our elected representatives and the people they serve. Right now, too many residents feel like their voices aren't heard at City Hall, or worse, that there's no point in being involved at all. Bridging that gap is essential to the health of our community. I will be communicative, available, and collaborative. I'll build relationships with fellow councillors, city staff, community organizations, and other levels of government. Most importantly, I'll make myself available to the people I represent and fight for their voices and concerns to be heard. St. John is at a real moment of opportunity right now. When everyone feels like a valued part of the project, that's when we'll reach our potential. With your support, we can make that happen together.
Hello, my name is Troy Carpenter, and I'm a lifelong resident of St. John, father of 3 children. I live and work in the ward. And not the Common Council of the day hasn't been doing a good job, but there's been things that have been happening in our community and society which are kind of concerning for me. And one, homelessness, stuff like that. I know that it's traditionally more of a provincial issue, but we have to do something about it at all levels of government to succeed, and it's a multi-tiered thing. And also, I want my children to want to stay, live, and work in St. John. And that is a major concern for me because so many of my friends, their children no longer live here. They work, they move away, and even some of St. John prosper and continue to grow. And also one of the biggest things we need to do is work on collaboratively is economic growth done the right way, collaboratively with all citizens at levels. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Donald Walton. I am running for council in Ward 2 because I believe that we deserve to have a voice within our ward that will gladly stand to ensure that we are being heard and making sure that the affordability in housing alongside with homelessness is being maintained and actually looked after. Alongside with it, I want to make sure that, as other candidates have mentioned, is to ensure that people want to stay within our city and actually grow within our city. We do want to see added capabilities of housing alongside with job stability and multiple other avenues alongside with that.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Mohammed Lazab. I am a software engineer and I joined here as skilled immigrant in 2018. I loved St. John. I got many opportunities to move to other places. However, I choose to stay here. The environment is very welcoming. It's a place so that anyone can successfully establish a family and live peacefully. And I noticed that things started changing since 2018 when I joined here. We are living in the middle of crisis. We have housing crisis, we have homeless crisis, and we are having problem with accountability. I tried to connect with some of the current councils in the city multiple times about issue in the city hall. However, I didn't receive proper response, and sometimes I just received thank you. I tried also to just have problem solved in my neighborhood, like having more recreation areas and trying to establish this. However, this is my plan to run. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for coming out. I want to thank the Human Development Council for putting this on. It's great. So, my name's John McKenzie, and I'm running again because I'm a sucker for punishment. I've been on council since 2012. I have my wife of 44 years, and two of my children live in Ward 2, along with two grandchildren, and I have a son in Halifax. I guess the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing is because I love it. I love St. John. I worked for Canada Post for 28 years. I retired when I got on council because I wanted to spend more time trying to solve issues and help people. And that's the enjoyment I get out of doing it. I think that we have come a very long way since 2012. When I first got on council, we were a city that was looking at bankruptcy. And today we have great financials. We've got, money in the bank. We're doing really, really well. And I'm glad to be part of that. And now my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson is on his way. He's running a few minutes late, but we've got a card for him and a bottle of water, and he'll join us shortly. I guess if we can get the microphone back up to Troy, we'll start with a quick question. What is the one issue you would want to focus on first, if elected?
The one issue would be probably homelessness and for the residents to feel safe in the city. That would be the one issue I'd like to, but it's very multi-tiered and requires a lot of collaboration between all levels of government to succeed.
So the one issue that I want to address when getting in, it would be public safety. To have a deeper dive looked into in regards to the police and fire structure on our ward itself. One thing that I have noticed is we don't have a full structure for the growth that we're seeing within Milledgeville, and within the North End we're seeing more and more apartments and houses go up. And it's definitely one of those things that the current system we have can get inundated very fast, and we have seen that. And I do want to make sure that if I was to get elected, that would be my priority, is to ensure, to fix that, to keep obviously our houses how they are and to continue the growth.
The first thing that I want to work at is public safety as well. No doubt that public safety is consuming 33 out of our budget, which is $208 million. And I believe this is consuming almost big chunk of our budget. And everyone knows about the problem that's happening now with our policing department. I believe people, while door knocking with many people, the first thing that I heard from elderly woman, she told me, I don't feel safe to go to another neighborhood, and she used to live in the Milledgeville. I don't want the citizens of San John to feel the same, and I want to be focused on solving this problem as soon as possible to make sure that the city is very good place to welcome many people to come and sit and raise a family without to worry about the same issue. Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess, money is the root of all evil, but it also solves a lot of problems. And as I said in my opening statement, we've come a long way, and we have some money, but we need more. And so for me, we need to grow more than what we have now. And as we grow, our tax base grows, our services improve, our fire, police, they improve, roads, sidewalks, everything has to be paid for. So you have to have growth, and we've had that in the past, and we need more going forward. And I think that in itself is where you start to solve other problems, because if you have the money to help in the homeless file, that's great. Right now, we rely on the province for a lot of it. We do some in kind, but we do rely on the province and the federal government. We can help more if we had, as I say, more growth. So that would be a priority.
We'll start with what we've been hearing. We'll start by going to the front of the room again. It's all right. Absolutely right. You're on.
Every candidate here has highlighted something that's an important thing that the city needs to take action on. And all of that starts by working together. And the first thing that I want to work on is building collaboration. We have so many people doing great work here in this city, and I want to be, as a councillor, the voice that brings these different groups together. As a councillor, my job is not to solve every problem, it's to know the people who are solving the problems and then advocate for them. Bring them into the council chamber, create unity between the different levels, because if we're all pulling together, we all want St. John to be better than it is. Any chance that I have to bring those voices in and stand with them, advocate for them, fight for them at the other levels of government, make sure they feel heard, and make sure the residents feel communicated with, that's how we'll succeed.
Thank you. As I said earlier, we'll start with what we're hearing most clearly from residents. Civic Tech St. John has administered a survey and has made it available for residents to fill out. You can get it through the QR code that you may see around here. It's on our website. We've received lots of surveys to date, and we'll continue to update this as we move towards the election. From what we're hearing, poverty and housing are among the top concerns in the community. Over the past year, we've also seen increasing pressures in this ward, from encampments to growing demand for services. As we head into spring, many residents are concerned these pressures may increase. So the question is, what should the city be doing differently right now, and what should happen when someone has no place safe to go?
So with answering that question is, I wanted to continue seeing the work that we are doing right now within the community projects with 12 neighbors that we're seeing happening within Ward 3. I would like to see a continuation with them and collaborating with them to help get some of the community that is experiencing those tough times, to help get them back on their feet, to learn and teach with them. I've actually had some great conversations with some of the members of 12 Neighbors, working within that community that's directly across from it, and seeing and how it reflects with them, and seeing the change and the growth is definitely something that I feel if we continue with that, we can help and maintain and correct the actual epidemic that is happening within our city, and hopefully to curve it into a positive and to hopefully almost get down to nothing.
Welcome, Russell.
Sorry, I already called it today. I don't even know what the question was.
No, I know, and that's so. I'm going to repeat the question for you, and maybe in advance you might sneak in a few seconds to introduce yourself and say why you're running. But the question now is related to the homeless file and what we can expect when spring comes about. And the question is, What should the city be doing differently right now, and what should happen when someone has no safe place to go?
Okay, that's tricky. I'm nervous as hell up here, by the way. Yeah, that's tricky. I think St. John's thriving on trying to get all this taken care of. I mean, they're working very hard. I've been looking into this. These are some very strong issues. To me, it comes down to provincial and federal government that's making all this happen. I mean, all this homelessness, all the, yeah, I'm nervous, geez. All the homelessness, all the poverty, it starts with provincial and federal. It's that simple. I mean, everything's coming down to us, and we're asked to take care of the problems. And when we're on a shoestring budget, it's hard to do it. I literally want to fight, and that's my whole goal here, is just to fight with the provincial and federal governments and get our fair share. I've wrote about this on my page, Wilson for St. John. I mean, St. John is an economic powerhouse. We truly are. And we're not getting our fair share. So if we fought hard enough, got the money and the support, we could take care of all these problems. That's truly how I see it. St. John they're fighting so hard to get everything done, and I see shelters going up. I see them putting people, what's that? 15 seconds remaining. Oh, okay. How do you do this in a minute? I mean, yeah. So like I say, it's fighting with the province and the federal government. That's what I want to do. I want to bring my tenacity and my fight, my education, my background in business, and push for all these issues. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm Russell Wilson, by the way. I'll give you my introduction. Yeah, I'm Russell Wilson. Why I'm running for council is I only see the problems getting worse. Honestly, I don't see anything getting better. And if we don't fight hard and to bring everything together and start getting our fair share. I mean, we're supporting all the surrounding areas. It's that simple. That's a fact. I want to push hard and try to get them to amalgamate everything so we can get our city back to where it should be. You know what I mean? Our streets are crumbling, and we got the homelessness, the poverty, the drug epidemics. I mean, it's all coming down from the top. And if we don't push to get our fair share back, I don't think we're going to take it back. So we have to fight. We're the ones that vote, so we keep them in power, right? If we keep voting for those people and don't hold them accountable, then it's kind of our fault, right? Okay, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Anyone can become homeless, but we have to study why he is becoming homeless, and we have to have a different segmentation. Actually, I believe homelessness is mainly the provincial and federal responsibility. However, because the province is not doing the right thing, I believe we as a city are taking the action, and we are taking all the hit because we are living in this city and we are having many homeless. I believe the first thing that the city need to do, we have to have segmentation. I can be homeless tomorrow, but I should not be blazed with homelessness or homeless people with mental issues, because as you know, rotten apple can make all the apples rotten. So this is the first thing that I believe the city need to do. Also, I believe we need to work with the province to make sure that it's doing the main accountability and having the main accountability. As you know, the province has been building many things in the past, like Stephen Towers, for example. We are not having many projects like this since long time. I believe the city did a great job with accommodating 12 neighborhoods. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you. I think the first thing we need to recognize is that any one of us could end up in a similar situation. So let's just start there. And many people are living paycheck to paycheck, at risk of losing their job, health issues that are, causing them real hardship, unbearable stress at home, and the list goes on and on. So I think that we have to recognize that we're all vulnerable. We're all human beings. So what are we doing as a city? Well, we developed the Housing for All strategy. Council was instrumental in the decision to not move tents around, but rather have structures. Small buildings with heat, beds, nearby washrooms. The federal and provincial governments are financing these green zones, and they were the only ones of their kind at the time in New Brunswick because we were the only municipality that had a plan in place. I believe other areas are doing similar things now. So when you look at it, we do have the Sunnyside Community Centers going up. The United Way is doing that. It's 72 beds there, and we've got 68. We've got a shelter with, I think, 60 beds. So we're doing all we can. Thank you.
Homelessness is a nationwide and even a worldwide issue right now, and nobody has solved it completely, but what we can do is look to where people are having success. So the country of Finland implemented a very successful program, and it started with a housing first model. Current council has adopted a housing first model, and I'm hoping to build on that, because you can't lift people up until they have a solid foundation of security underneath them. Housing first gives people the opportunity to breathe again, to invest their energy in a place that's their own, and from there to begin relearning how to build community. Safety is important, and we shouldn't turn a blind eye to that, but we need to be conscious and protective of the safety of everyone, including our neighbors who are unhoused. Aggressive enforcement is not the answer there. At the end of the day, they will still be homeless after that. Working with these models that have been proven to work, basing our decisions on data, and working with our partners that are doing such hard work here, my greatest honor so far in this campaign has been meeting people who are doing this work in the community and seeing how much they care. Homelessness is really visible, but how hard the people are working to solve that is not always as visible unless you look for it. So my time's up, but thank you to them.
Hello. As I said earlier, this is a very multi-tiered, hard thing to tackle. There's no answer for it yet. Council of the day has made a great start at it. I see things around as with like Thorn Avenue and other issues like that. But we need to keep at it. We need to keep reviewing it. We need to see what's working. We need to talk to local agents we have, like Fresh Start and them out there that are actually working with these people to see how we can improve and what we can do to make these people succeed and feel like they're part of the society and get off the street. And again, we also need safe housing too for them, because I talked to some of them, and that's a big issue for a lot of them in some of these shelters and things they go to is safety. So it's very multi-tiered, and we do have to collaborate with everybody. Everybody needs to be involved. We got a wealth of information out there. It's just bringing everybody together to help solve this problem and this issue. As of my knowledge, there's been no cities around here that have done it yet, but hopefully St. John, we can maybe be the first. And thank you.
Let's just stick with this just a bit more, this issue of homelessness. I acknowledge that coordination is important, and waiting for seniors at the level of government to increase their funding or do some more, but the question really is what can the city do? What would you want to accomplish as a councillor next year when it comes to the homelessness file? Sure. Yep.
I guess it's me first.
Oh,
Yeah, that's fair. So,
oh, me?
Yeah, you
Oh,
first.
well, that's not fair at all. What can the city do? Well, I mean, we can push for more co-op housing. We can, sorry, I didn't quite hear the question when you were, I was
I just
introducing
wondered-
myself to everybody. I apologize.
Some positive action. What can the city do? I acknowledge senior levels of government have a funding obligation and
Yes, yes.
responsibility, and that coordination at the local level is always a nice thing to talk
Right.
about and to undertake. But what tangibly are you going to do as a councillor in the next year on the homelessness file?
Outside of fighting to get more funds, because it's obviously a budgeting issue. I mean, if we don't have those issues, Ben, it's a very serious problem. You fight for more co-op housing. I know homelessness and poverty in the North End is 30%, I believe. It's unbelievable numbers. Actually, it's unforgivable numbers. Truly, this shouldn't be going on. So I mean, we have to fight to help. I mean, there's rehousing. I heard of. I'm just starting to. Sorry, I just got close to that. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, so I've been looking into this quite deeply. The rehousing issue. I'm trying to help people get back in homes within the first 30 days, and you know, this is helping with their income support. I mean, yeah, it goes on and on. Truly, what was one of the things? So obviously, if we look at wages, is one of the other thing. I mean, if you can help increase wages, I mean, this is an issue right there. Some people that are working $15.80 an hour, it's supposed to be 24. They still can't afford a house. I mean, how desperate is that? You can't even afford a home and you're working. Yeah, so I'd push the city to actually, I forget what the name's called, but it's basically an in-living process, an in-living wage. So what it is so when you bring in a contractor, you make sure that they're paying a living wage. So that way we're not helping with poverty, we're actually helping stop poverty. So, thank you.
I see that the city itself alone cannot solve this problem. We need to have a multi-level government unit that work on all levels of governments together, on the federal level, on the provincial level, and on the city level, to try to address the homelessness issue, to get the fund needed from the province or the federal, to work achieving many projects like 12 neighborhoods where we have rehabilitation centers, and we have also small units. I read that the unit is costing almost $705,000, which is affordable. And imagine with, for example, $1 million, we can have like 190 unit in, for example, 1 or 2 years. How much this will save people and achieve shelter for them. And I will focus also on affordability. I will try to make the public transportation more affordable and working extended hours during the weekend. I know that some people will question the fund, but I see that we can get fund from other places. Fast permits to have many locations and more affordable homes. I believe we need also to make sure that the permits take, for example, maximum 10 business days with, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Randy, I think I would just continue moving in the direction we're moving, to be honest with you. You know, the city's giving up city property to help the province and the federal government, you know, try to solve this problem. You know, we're helping out where we can. I know, Mr. The shelter that we opened last year, the city was, you know, responsible for getting it done because the province couldn't get a contractor. We put all of our carpenters in there for like 2 weeks, you know, and that was their priority, get that place ready for those people. So, you know, the city does have a role to play, and I think we're doing a good job at it. As I said before, I think this city is leading the province, if not all of Eastern Canada, in terms of the way we're handling homelessness. But we can't solve it all, you know. So I think we just need to keep doing what's working and expand on that.
I think that a good place to start is with listening. We have frontline workers who are extremely informed on where we have service gaps. They know what the urgent action items are, and we can listen to them and make sure we take that into account when we're making our deliberations in council. As far as what the city can do itself, where we can have a more direct impact is in places like zoning. When we're looking at development, we need to look at how we can best set up neighborhoods as inclusive, mixed income zoned areas. This is established best practice for developing neighborhoods, and it creates vibrant communities where people who from different backgrounds and different socioeconomic statuses have access to each other. And that's how we build understanding, and that's the foundation of community. Another thing that we can explore as a city is speeding up development by expanding as-of-right zoning bylaws so that we cut a little bit of the development hurdles for projects so that people can build on existing property that they have, and they're not having to go through the sometimes onerous and expensive development approval process.
So what I would like to do in the first year to help with this problem is, number one, get everybody to work together as much as possible, not as individuals. Have a collaboration amongst everybody, all the groups, and I know that we can solve it there, along with some very good things, which I was going to touch on, like zoning. Council has control over zoning and stuff like that, speeding it up, and maybe even there's some federal programs that used to be out there for things like if you were going to put some subsidized houses in, subsidized units in your housing and stuff like that, maybe help encourage that and speeding it up. Even developers overall that want to build things, they hear that it's very slow, very complicated to go through the procedure. And I do think they are working on an electronic permit system right now, but it takes time and money. So again, the number one thing is working together in collaboration, And I believe St. John and the people of St. John, along with some help from experts if they need to get from parts of the province and stuff, can accomplish anything. And I think they started already on the right path. It's just a matter of reviewing it and continue to review it because things change continuously. Thank you.
So to continue into what I was stating earlier with the original question, I feel we should be continuing with the projects that we have, with the partners we have, but we should also be growing into to actually chat and look into actual studies and have some specialists from first responders all the way down to medical professionals and seeing if there's any gaps that we need to fill in to ensure that there is no true gap that can cause for any numbers to increase, but if anything to help with the decrease of it, alongside with continuing to build housing pods like they have been doing with the current project that we have in place would be ideal to see that continue that growth, alongside with also to look into, like what other candidates have mentioned, is to help speed up the actual permit program, and alongside with the building of more reasonable and more affordable housing as well will help with that as well.
Thank you. In Ward 2, much of the day-to-day response to poverty and homelessness and crisis situations is carried out by community organizations, shelters, outreach teams, food programs, and community centers like this one, often with limited resources. At the same time, demand continues to grow. What role should the city play in supporting that work, and is it doing enough?
The city has limited resources, so I would say that the city should be careful while giving money to organization. I don't mind giving money to the organization, but we have to monitor the money that the government is giving. I think Canada problem is not money or resources. The problem is itself how we manage these resources and how we are saving the resources and the waste. For example, policing department has spent $2 million in arbitration alone. How can $2 million make and achieve in hunger or for the food banks, for example? We are spending too much money as well on some consultants. If a consultant working for the city, for example, 10 years, cannot we replace this consultant with employee or something? I believe the funding need to be given to the non-profit organization, but it has to be conditional where it will be spent. And I believe also to achieve the hunger situation, we need to give like 1% or some percentage has to go for the food banks, for example. No one should be hungry in Canada. We need to have fixed percentage to the food banks to make sure that everyone is have a livable life. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, where would the city be without its nonprofits, without its volunteers? You know, it's unbelievable the amount of work they do. And a few years ago, with council support, we went from a year-to-year contract, you know, with our service providers to a 3-year contract. And we did that because they needed to have some assurance that they could offer the same program the next year that they start this year. And I think that's a reasonable thing. So the city did that, and I think that, you know, we can do more because the programming that they offer is something that a city just can't provide. And they do it by leveraging every dollar that we give them. They find a way of leveraging that many, many times over. So this center here, for example, it supplies programming to youth and seniors in this area. The city just couldn't do it. But because they're geared towards doing that, you know, you get the right people in the right places, a lot of things happen and time runs out so fast.
I have to echo what John said there, that the community groups that we have here are doing fantastic work. The North End Food Bank alone in January of 2026 served 1,455 people. That's almost, if you expand that to the whole city, almost 5% of residents in the ward. And without them, we'd be in big trouble. So thank you to them. What the city can look at is how we can support in all sorts of ways, not just financial. Can we provide access and coordination to higher levels of government that are responsible for supporting these social services? Can we create in-kind service agreements so that some of these groups can use city land or facilities rent-free? Can we better our relationship with these groups so that the people in them know that they're supported and valued right at the level of the city staff? That might seem like a small thing, but even just knowing people have your back can go a long way in this kind of challenging work. And I think that's where we really can start to come together so that we all want to solve these problems. Let's really be there for each other.
Well, I'm amazed at how many nonprofit organizations operate in the city. I did a little bit of research into it, and I was amazed. And there's no way the city could support them all. No way at all. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing. They need to get support from each other. They need support from council. They get it. I agree, and it's been brought up at other meetings I've been at about maybe you can't give them money, but you can supply them with space, or you can maybe help them with other things that they need as well. They all operate amazingly. They all support they all provide good programs and give community support that we need, which the city could not do on its own. Like this place alone, I remember when I was younger, I believe the city used to run it as the North End Community Center. And now it's much more than that. It offers much more programs than it used to. So some of these community organizations are better than the city at actually being able to reach out and cooperate with other people to provide services to the community that are much needed. With that, I don't know if we could fund them all, but maybe through individual grants or special projects or something, we could look at them individually. So.
Yeah, so within the non-for-profit category and everything, I have a tremendous amount of family that actually works within non-for-profits and who actually coordinate within groups and communities and help with that. So I feel that the city should definitely like he was saying about having more grants and everything like that would be more beneficial for the city to have them more open to all of our non-for-profits that we have within the communities, to have them and to assist, because without them being the stepping stone for anything that's within our communities, we would see bigger issues and bigger dilemmas that are going on currently from the food banks and everything like that. There is just so much there that them even achieving what they have achieved without reaching out to the council or to the city almost constantly would be, it's mind-boggling to me. It's too hard to put into words, I would say.
Yeah, I spent my whole life in the North End, grew up here, went to Centennial, Lorne, Milledgeville. I know the area. Yeah, the stretching of dollars is very hard. Obviously, in the city, I think the city's doing well, and I believe all the outreach programs, the community centers, all the volunteers, they do an amazing job. I guess that's what makes a community. This is a very strong community. I know that in the North End. If I were elected, I would definitely push for more funding, help with disability issues, with the buses. I know there's all kinds of issues going on with that. But yeah, my first and foremost would be for support. I would definitely offer all the support I possibly could. And get for more funding, bottom line. That's what we need is more funding. This community is a great community. They work to help each other. They truly stretch their dollars. A lot of these issues they're Band-Aid kind of fixes, although they do a great job, but it's not a full-time fix. And I think with more funding, we can actually get full-time fixes and correct these problems for good. Thanks.
I want to bring this closer to home here in the Old North End. We have places like the former Lorne School sitting vacant for years. What should be done with properties like that, and what role should the city play in moving them forward?
Well, I wasn't expecting this one, but it's a good one. Because for those of you that don't know, I've been working very closely with a few people, about Lawrence School, actually since it closed, to try to get it utilized. It's a beautiful building. It's empty. The Nick Nicole Center uses the gymnasium for all the programs. And just recently, I'm very, very hopeful that we've got I guess we call it a tenant, owner, whatever, taking over the building, and it'll soon hopefully be full of life again, offering, a number of different programs and so on and so forth. It's taken a while, but it's very, very difficult when you're dealing with other levels of government, and this is the type of deal that would only go to the city. They would only say to the city, do you want the building? If the city said no, then it goes out to a tender. This year they said no. If the city says no and somebody says they'll take it, they got it, just to do this. So this is a special one, and I'm glad you brought it up, Randy. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe the city has a role to play here. We need to make sure the reason why the building is empty, and we need to solve the problem. I believe many people during COVID came here to invest in many buildings, and they just kept it empty. Shall we as a city raise the taxation on these houses to make sure that if someone is not living in New Brunswick and own a house and he keep it vacant, shall we raise the taxation on it? Many questions come to my mind regarding this. But I believe we have a responsibility because we need everyone, we need affordable housing, we need more housing, we need more people. Shall we, I'm not sure, as the city cannot contact the person and ask him to rent it. But if I'm owning a house, I'm not utilizing it, shall the tax be raised? I would have this question for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, like I just said, I went to Lorne. I came up here a couple of years ago when I was going through the center, and I was looking through the doors into the gym. Actually, they took me into the gym, and I looked through, and the water was coming down. I couldn't believe to let a building like this, which was redone, I forget when the fire was, in the late 80s, was it? And they rebuilt the new building, and then all of a sudden the roof goes. So when they stopped using the school, the roof goes, and I mean, how many of you have seen buildings that just, government buildings that aren't being used, or old schools that aren't being used that could be? I mean, we're looking for housing, and we have it right there, and they don't do anything about it. Yeah, so I would definitely push to, and that's great, by the way. I never heard that someone was actually taking this. That's perfect. I think that could have been an affordable housing project. I'm not sure what they're doing with it. Yeah, so that definitely, we have to locate these places and don't let them just dilapidate. But they have to be used. I mean, the foundation's for it, and we have a problem, we have a solution, and yet why can't we line them up? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so with the school literally adjacent to us, the one thing that I would be wanting to see happen is having an investor similar to what we're seeing and hearing about chatters online and everything with the old school up off of Waterloo, having that converted into apartments, affordable apartments at that, would definitely benefit to see those buildings that were formerly government schools or former projects that have since moved on from the city, to have them be converting over to something such as sustainable housing, to going into apartments, or even converting them over into revitalized retail or commercial space could also benefit some of the communities and everything like that. But the one thing I would love to see happen with this is convert that to having affordable apartments or housing based.
Hello. So, what would I like to? How would I like to see council with the old balloon? Is that the question?
Or other vacant.
Okay. I was unaware that Lauren had been purchased or possibly being purchased at the moment until today. Fair enough, but ultimately, this is what is traditionally a school, so I believe it would be provincial land overall. But I believe the city, we could work with the province, and if we didn't want it, we could try to get a group or a company in that was going to do something that would benefit the community overall, meet a need, whether it be housing, maybe look at making sure they try to keep this Nick Nicole Center open or going, or long-term lease, stuff like that, to keep things that are in the community that work for the community, and also work to try to make sure whoever takes it over, or whatever developer's going to do, does something that suits the community and is positive in the community and the community needs and helps the community grow overall. And it could be any number of things, through housing, possibly having like a little medical clinic, possibly to anything like that. Thank you.
In this kind of conversation, it's important to remember that the city is not a property developer. So there's all sorts of things that it would be great if they would come into that, but the city doesn't make those projects happen. That's private investment. So what can the city do? The city has to create the conditions where investing in these kind of properties becomes attractive. And we do that by revitalizing our neighborhoods, by bringing in density into areas where density is appropriate, so that suddenly a building like the Lawrence School is not a dilapidated, missed opportunity. It's a development potential for people who have vision to create something in that community. And that goes for all of our infill possibilities here in the North End and for many of our vacant buildings. By revitalizing the community, by creating the development potential, that's what will bring investors in. We can't do it as a city just by hoping. We have to create the conditions to make it happen.
We're also hearing clearly that public safety is a major concern for residents in this ward. What's one practical step you would take to improve public safety here?
I think that everybody is aware of the ongoing problems that are happening at the police department right now between the police commission and the police department. We need to get that sorted out as a first step. And we have a governance review that's been ordered by current council. I am always, as a councillor, going to go with a data-driven, facts-based approach. I'm going to look at this kind of report very closely and see what recommendations there are for what the governance model should be. Now, that said, if you have 20+% of your police force out on leave because of mental health, and you have somebody look into allegations of harassment and they say, well, there's nothing to action here, you still have a police force that doesn't want to work for this individual. That's not going to work. So we need to look into that and look at the way that we can govern this in a way where council has a little bit more control and information, because if the police force doesn't want to work for their boss, we're not going to have the enforcement that we want on our streets.
The police force and commission is definitely a big issue at the moment. I found it staggering when I found out how many were out on disability. Staggering. But not only that, that's a big thing going forward to review and go over, whether it's to disband, have the council oversee it or what. I'm not sure. I don't have all the data in front of me. But one of the biggest things is safety, and St. John, real or perceived, needs to be perceived to be safer. I know people coming to me about uptown, there's been some incidents there, and even provincial agencies, they reduce their hours at certain things because employees and that don't feel safe. So if the province is addressed, if they don't feel safe in uptown St. John, how do we expect the general population to? So it's something we have to tackle, and what the source to fix it is, I'm not sure, but it's definitely a huge issue that has to be looked at and has to be addressed, because we want people to feel safe in the North End, Milledgeville, uptown, every part of the city, and we want St. John to thrive again, and we want businesses to come here, and we want people to live and stay here. And if they don't feel safe, they might not stay here. They might move to outlying communities. Thank you.
Yeah, so public safety, as I mentioned at the beginning, is one of the top priorities that I have in mind with the current election that's going on. One thing that I would want to see is within the police forces, as Brian was mentioning, of everything that is coming out in our public news and everything, is we need to look into and figure out a lot of these key metrics and figure out what is actually going on, pinpoint it, because at the end of the day, we do need these actual police officers to feel comfortable to come to work, just as we all feel comfortable to go into our workplace. We need to make sure that they feel comfortable, that they feel protected, that they feel everything. If that comes down to that the city needs to have a little bit more of an inside look to it and to figure that out, then that might be something that we have to do, and it's something that we might have to actually conduct with. And I want to make sure that the police, and not only them, but every other part of the public safety system, such as our fire and everything, they're all looked after and they're all actively feeling wanted to go to work and feeling that they are doing their jobs and that they're not going to get impeded, and to make sure that the public feels safe as well.
Okay, so crime and safety, yeah, this one's been the thorn in my side. I've actually put posts about it and gotten lots of backlash, and I'll tell you why. In my day, when kids did drugs or did anything, got arrested. For some reason, you can do drugs now in the streets, you can, whatever, they say it's mental health, they say it's, but they're still breaking the law. I made a suggestion, well, I mean, if it's because of addiction, well, they're still breaking the law, so put them in front of a judge. If he says, okay, they broke the law, well, give them an option. Do rehab. I mean, you can do rehab. I mean, something's got to be done because the crime rate is getting out of control. And what I see on the streets, I don't think it's right. I don't think we should live in those conditions. You break the law, you get in front of a judge, and but they need to be arrested. They shouldn't be ignored. That's my answer for that.
What I see in public safety, everything is connected. Our public safety is costing taxpayers $6 million, and yet the average citizen in St. John is not feeling safe. We have $2 million has been spent on arbitration, $600,000 approximately on commission itself, and we are one of 3 cities in Canada with the commission practice. Most of the cities doesn't have the commission, and because the city failed to achieve the public safety, they hired a security firm. We are paying for them almost $800K, and if any crime happens in front of them, at the end they will call 911. So we just spend $900K just for someone to call 911, which I see it's not working. I believe so. So the second point that I want to see, in multinational companies that I used to work, we guarantee for our employees that they have harassment policy or work safe policy. Any employee working in a multinational company has a practice he has to follow to make sure that he is safe. What's happening in our department really need a review. We need to make sure our police officers feeling safe. We need to make sure that our environment is harassment free to guarantee that our officers working in a nice environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a problem, and we have decided that we're going to do a governance overview, because right now the Police Commission looks after all of the police department's issues, including negotiations. So, yeah, we have a problem, so now we have to revisit that and find out if that's exactly what we need, or we need to maybe change the Police Commission, maybe do away with the Police Commission, and have the council look after it. But we need to address it. But let's not forget that we've got a really good, solid professional police force. Okay, it's not broken. Okay, it has a problem, and we're going to fix it. But I don't want people thinking that the city of St. John's in jeopardy. Everybody's going to run for their lives. The police respond. People are safe, and we need to understand that. If something needs to change at the leadership level of the police department to make it right, then that's what's going to happen. But it has to follow a process. Thank you.
Ward 2 includes both the university and the hospital, and we see firsthand the role newcomers play in this community. What needs to be in place to make sure people who come here, whether to study or to work, are able to stay and build a life here?
One, we need to open up and embrace them. We need to make them feel like this is their home. We need to make them want to stay here. We need to make them feel like it's part of their community. They come here, they fill jobs that weren't able to be filled by our own people because we didn't have people at the time. They go to school with their children, they go to daycare with their kids, and we need to open up and make them feel like they're part of the community. We need to make them want to stay here, and we need to make them we as community have to do that. I don't know who else will do it, but we need to make sure that they feel like this is their home, this is where they want to be, this is where they want to stay. Because people come here for a number of reasons. One, they use this as an avenue just to get their permanent residency, and then they go. Sometimes they come here because they just happen to fall here from some other chance. But once they get them here and we show them what we have, what we can offer, I believe a lot of them do stay. Some don't, but I really think that we need them here, and I think that we are the ones that have to make that happen and make them feel like they're part of the community.
The one thing that the city needs to do to ensure that we can keep the individuals coming in for schooling, even if that's from other provinces, from other countries, or anywhere around the world that are coming here for university or for community college or any of those manners, is that we need to embrace, as he was just stating, embrace them into our communities, and alongside with it, we also need to look at what the universities are having the highest enrollment into and bringing those jobs to the city. If those jobs are not within our city, they're not going to stay. They're going to get their education here, and they're going to hightail it to wherever that job is, as that's where they will be able to raise their family, raise their living and everything, because that is what they went to school for. They're not going to go into debt to get schooling for something that they want to do and then proceed to not be able to do it and have that undoing debt and then cause for other issues down the road from a financial standpoint. We oh, okay. we want to keep those communities, and we also need to have the city standpoint to bring the bring community events back and bring communities together as one and to embrace everyone. So
Were you looking at my phone? You stole my answer. No, honestly, bottom line, jobs. I always say what I like to do is I like to solicit business, bring them here for higher paying jobs. You have a job, you're going to stick around. It's not because of lack of beauty, they're definitely going to stick around for that. St. John's a beautiful city. We have all kinds of events, the 506, which I think is phenomenal what they're doing down there. But jobs, you bring in jobs, people will stay. It's that simple, and it improves the quality of life. I mean, I'm talking about higher paying jobs. So I want to solicit business. Now, we obviously have to work with the provincial government because they take everything from us, but we have to work with the provincial government and the city and say, okay, well, you know, we'll merge you into our tax system. Give businesses an incentive to come here, and the people will follow. Your economy will follow. Everything will grow from there. That's how it works. It's happened in other cities, major cities. They'll set it up so they have a lower income tax bracket to get in and merge them into their tax system, gives them incentives. Maybe rather lower tax, whatever the position may be. But when you bring in jobs, you bring in revenue, and you increase your economy, and that makes for a better quality of life. Thanks.
Yeah. I came here as a newcomer in 2018. What made me stay here? I felt at home. So first thing that we need to let the newcomers feel, they need to feel home. And I believe many non-profit organizations are working effectively there, like Newcomer Center. They are doing great jobs there. And they are helping the newcomers, especially in the first stages. When you come to a new place, you don't know anyone, you need someone to guide you. Where I go, where I use transportation, how can I get the bus? All these questions I have to face in multiple countries I have to travel to during my life. And I believe the most important part is affordability and availability of transportation, because when the newcomer land here, he doesn't have a car. He still need to work on license and this ones. Housing. Housing is very important, affordable housing especially. And we need to attract more businesses, as my colleague here said, and to avail more jobs, because without jobs, without money, no one will go. They will simply leave to Ontario. So we need to attract more business. We need to work on our tourism to attract more jobs and avail more resources. And I believe also everyone is looking for safety. To raise a family, you need to feel safe. So the most important part in winter, walkable neighborhoods. We need to have walkable neighborhoods. We need to make sure that the snow is being cleaned. Thank you.
Thank you. A couple of years ago, we had a program here in St. John called Succeed and Stay, and it was handed over to Envision St. John, and it became the regional immigration strategy for the whole region. So Envision also took over the local immigration partnership from the city that we had started in 2014 or 2015. I just forget now when it was. However, we're still very much involved with the LIP today, and I can share with you that Envision St. John is doing a population trends report that will be coming out, and also they are launching a newcomers survey next week to get information on employment, housing, and so on and so forth. And in terms of voting, I don't know if that was the other part of your question, Randy, but should they be able to vote? I think, they should have the right to vote if they are living here and they're paying taxes, and that also, it makes them feel like they belong here. They have a part in the decision making, So I think that if you're established in a community and you're paying taxes and you're living here, I think you deserve that right to partake in those decisions.
Newcomers are an extremely important part of the fabric of our city, and especially here in Ward 2, where 16.2% of the population of Ward 2 consists of newcomers. My fellow candidates have highlighted several important things that are relevant to anybody who wants to make their way in St. John. Affordability, housing, jobs. But I think when it comes to newcomers specifically, the best thing that we can do is listen to the stories of newcomers who have come here and integrated successfully. I've had the chance to speak to Mohammed Bagha at the St. John Newcomer Center. He and his team are so passionate about the work they do, and they have grown that place from a team of 3 or 4 into a place that's employing multiple people. They've expanded their offices and created a center for the whole of these newcomer communities that want to use it. I don't know if you are familiar with Fabiola Martinez. Have any of you been to the Dia de los Muertos festival that we have here? She is a newcomer at one time, and now she's a St. Johner, and she has brought a beautiful cultural celebration to our city. And by supporting these kinds of initiatives, that's what makes newcomers stay, and it makes our lives so much better because we get to participate in the vibrancy of their cultures as well.
If people in your ward strongly support something, but you're not sure it's the right decision, how would you approach that?
So the one thing that I would be doing if someone strongly opposes something that the council was to decide on, I would want to hear the individual's feedback and get full details on why they oppose it, why they feel we should have went a different route, and I want to see what they are actually looking towards and to help guide or maybe to help learn and bring that information back to council to ensure that we're getting the full story from within the wards that are going to be affected, from the citizens that will be affected by it day to day, and it should be something that is brought to our attention, and when they do bring it to our attention, we should have very open ears to listen to and to help strategize to either talk through it and maybe bring it up to the table and to discussion again, or to explain why we chose that route over the route that the individual wanted.
My opinion doesn't matter. It's their opinion that matters. I'm a voice. I'm a voice for my community. That's what I'm there for. That's why I'm elected. The majority rules. It's a democracy. So I would definitely put their voice forward. It's pretty much that simple. I'm basically just a conduit to fight for them. So my personal belief on what the whole issue would be, I would take the majority's view and bring that to council and fight for that. Like I said, I'm just a voice for them, and that's what I'm to be used for, I guess. Thanks.
I will approach the people. I will try to learn from them. That's why the city has to listen to the residents. We need to have hearing. We need to listen to the residents. That's why we need to invite them to a hearing. Residents need, I met many residents, they need to feel that they are heard, not just as a decision is being taken without their opinion. So I will invite them to a hearing in the city, then I will decide to try to convince them, understand from them why they are opposing the idea. I'm a data-driven person. I work with data. So I will look for the statistics. I will try to find the statistics that help me take the right decision. And I will ask experts as well. I will see who is experts or engineers or who is the best one in the market that can help me take the decision, a scientist or something. And then I will decide, then I will take the right decision, whatever what. Because in the city hall, you take decisions that impact the life of the residents. You cannot just take decision because someone, whatever you take decision, someone will like it, someone will dislike it. So you have always to do the right thing at the right time, based on the data, based on the hearing, based on listening to the experts, based on all these ones, you have to take the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Almost every decision that you make, like 99% of the decisions you make, you're going to have people that'll like it and people that won't. And, you know, that's what you're doing. You're making decisions. That's what you're elected to do. I'll give you an example. Quite a while back, Shannix wanted to come to St. John Parkland in Milledgeville. And it was huge, you know. People said, no way, we do not want that here. Absolutely not. Well, you know, you look at the data, there just wasn't enough places for people to age in place. We needed more spaces. So we went ahead and did it. I took a big hit on that one. But you know what? Some of the people that hit me are living there. Okay? They're living there now because we have enough spaces. So that's okay. I don't mind taking a hit for that. But every decision you make is going to make people happy and unhappy. You're there to do what's best for the city of St. John. Okay? You will have more information than the average person on the street. And that's what you've got to base it on, regardless of the hit.
The number one thing that I'm hoping to bring to council is for people to know that I'm ready to listen to them. So I would love for people to feel like they can reach out to me before they're outraged with my decision that I've made on council and have a fair hearing from them. Like John said, you're always going to have somebody who doesn't like the choice that you made. But as a medical professional myself, I really focus on staying current to what the best practices and the best outcomes are based on the data. I'm always going to do my research. I'm always going to consult with the experts. And at the end of the day, I'm going to try and make the best choice in concert with my fellow councillors, because this is a collaboration. And you have to have 5 other people with you minimum, and ideally all of them, to put things through. And that's why we have a council that is 10 people, so that you can get a variety of opinions and you can work towards a consensus together. And that's the approach that I want to bring to council.
I would love for all the constituents to feel like they are being heard. But then again, I don't know if they are privy to all the information and stuff. So bottom line, it comes down to data that you have in front of you, facts that you have in front of you, and that what's good for the ward and the city as a whole. That's what it comes down to. And collaboration and working as a council, which was brought up before, because you need a good working council to move forward in all things. Yes, I believe citizens should be heard. I believe they have the right to email, call their councillors if they want to, voice their concerns. At the same time, if I make a decision, if I vote for a project that they strongly disagree with, maybe I can sit down and talk to them and explain to them why. There might be some things I might not be able to share at the moment, but it depends on what's behind closed doors or not. But if that's not being said, I'll gladly share the data with them. Hopefully I can reassure them. And again, when you're in there, it comes down to what's best for the city as a whole. And ultimately, you like to satisfy everybody, but is my roles in outside of this and other things, there's always, most times, somebody that's not happy when someone else is. It's just the way life works in most things. Unfortunate, that's the way it is, but I would not like to see it, but it's just the way it is. Thank you.
Well, you can be elected to be a representative and reflect the interests of your community, or you can be re-elected to be a delegate to exercise your judgment on certain matters. If you're going to represent your community, how are you going to connect to it? How are you going to understand what the issues are on the ground? How are you going to stay involved and connected to your community?
Well, I'm part of my community. I've been my whole life. But other than that, open door policy. I mean, you can contact me anytime. And like I said, when everyone is here talking, well, they're not privy to the information, I don't understand why they're not. I mean, if we're making a decision for the city or for them, why are they not privy to all the information? So, I mean, so this is what, anyway, so this is how I what I would do is just, like I said, open door policy, walking around the streets, my door would always be open. And being part of the community, you know, I know what issues are and being here, and you're part of that. So yeah, it's strictly communication is how I see it. Okay.
Connecting with your community is one of the most important things you need to do as a counselor. I said that I choose to run as a counselor because I tried to approach some counselors. I didn't find the reply, and my emails is not being replied. My phone is not being replied. This is not the best thing to be in council. You need to listen to the people. You need to be accessible to the people. If I win as a counselor and I'm elected as a counselor, I will try to raise the bar. I will answer the phones. I will respond to every email. I believe we have counselors in this room now. She is doing this more than one time. She replied to many emails. She write many emails to me and replied to the problem. Thank you, Bola, for being here. And I will also try to visit the neighborhoods monthly. I will try to choose big street and announce on my page that I'm going to visit this street. I will go listen to the people. I will try to be attending the events in my neighborhood to make sure that I'm accessible, people able to reach to me, people able to ask me questions directly, and I'm able to approach them and be between them. I don't want to put barrier between me and the people. I need people to be accessible to me anytime. Don't be shy, come and speak to me. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the key here is relationship building. I think when you become a counselor or any representative, even the district education council, which I was a part of at one time, the whole key is getting contacts, establishing relationships, and trust. And then, you'll be invited to all kinds of meetings, all kinds of activities, and some you'll be able to make, some you won't. But I think that's the key right there. And then people will quickly learn that I can pick up the phone and call John, he's going to answer it. I can email him and I'll get an answer, and that's how you stay connected to your neighborhoods. Ward 2 is a big ward, and you can't go to every street and every place every day, but you can have contacts in those areas and know what's going on. Thank you.
Relationship building is going to be a huge part of being on council. And that's why when I decided to become a candidate, one of the first things that I did is I tried to reach out to community leaders in our community. I've met with people from Fresh Start, Avenue B, the One Change Center here in the Nick Nicole Center, the Crescent Valley Resource Center, and these are relationships that I want to foster and to continue to grow. I think it's also important to have fun in your community. So I'm part of the St. John Men's Chorus. We're a choir that performs. We do charitable donations. I play volleyball. I have kids who are in school who have their events. These are all ways that you get out into the community. And like I said, I want to be known as somebody that anybody can have a conversation with. And I'm well set up for that because in my professional life as a massage therapist, I spend about an hour with people, and it's not usually silent. So I've had the chance to talk to people from all kinds of backgrounds, going through all kinds of things. And one common thing about all of them is that most of them are in pain. So I've had a chance to deal with people who have problems and work on it to try and make things better for them.
I agree. The biggest thing is about building relationships and try to be open. I can sit here and say that I'm going to answer every email, every telephone call, but realistically I haven't been there, so I don't know how many could flood in. And it kind of worries me depending on the issue. I'm sure there could be anywhere from a couple dozen to possibly thousands, depending on how passionate it is to the community or the city as a whole. But I think the biggest thing is being out, being visible in the community, trying to answer your emails timely as much as you can, try to answer the phone calls where possible, go out there and like he said, I'm out there numerous times with my children at different things that they're involved in the community, taking them to school, dropping them off at events, walking into Tim Hortons lineup, being open to talk to people, just being approachable is the number one thing. And building relationships that you can work on and go from there, because I know my other avenues of life and things that I'm into, that's the biggest thing that helps me is the relationships I build so that I know who to talk to, what I need, when, and how to get it. And if I don't know how, they can help me, direct me to get the information I need or the help I need to solve what I need to solve. Thank you.
Yeah, so one thing that I would stride on is that I am very much a person that's always out in public, that's either out volunteering with Area 506 or out and about walking or at events with family or friends or anything. And the one thing that I would want the public to know is that I would stride on an open door philosophy of you can always come out and reach out to me and talk to me either via email, in person. Probably in person would be a little bit better because then it doesn't get lost in the weeds of all the phone calls and the emails that you see. And the one thing that I would want to do as a counselor is to continue to go to those events as best as I physically can. Obviously, if you get double booked, it gets a little bit challenging, but to be at those events, to be open, to be ready to hear the public and to hear the voice of concern or anything, because at the end of the day, that's what we were elected in for. That is what we are here for, and I want to make sure that the public knows that you can approach me in public, at the store, in the grocery line, anywheres. I'm there to help. I literally work at a retail store now, and I have people from this ward come and see me on a daily to talk about stuff that's not even related to my work, and it's a common thing, and that's something I want to make sure that stays.
We've heard concerns about large projects like the proposed data center in Lorneville moving forward without clear community local benefits. If there was a large project proposed in Ward 2, how would you decide whether a project like that is good for the community? And what would you want to see?
This is a hard question, especially it's related to the data center. It's coming to my specialization, actually. I researched about data centers. Unfortunately, this is not the best project to send on. For the reasons I put it on my page, you can read it. But if a big project coming to the area, I will make sure to hear from the people, hear from the experts. I will see how many jobs it will generate. What is the impact on the environment for this project, for example, according to the jobs it will generate. Does it worth to get this project there? I believe we as a city need to start focus on not data centers, but startups, for example. If we started a small company like TSCM in Taiwan 6 years back, I believe we could have been generating now $300 billion. We need to attract this kind of business. It's a clean business and it generates lots of money. But what is a data center will generate? I don't think it will generate jobs because it can be automated. This is the kind of planning that I need to look at and see the data, how much jobs it will generate, is it safe to the environment, people are happy about it or not, I don't care. I care about the jobs, the environment, the growth it will generate to the community, the environment planning. Thank you.
Well, again, I'll go back to, appropriateness. If you have an area that's zoned and zoned properly, and the data shows that you need that type of housing, perhaps the developer's saying this is the only kind of housing I'm interested in doing, so you take it or leave it, and you're talking about homelessness, so you have to decide what's best. I mean, that's, again, I go back to, you make a decision, you explain to people that disagree with you why you made the decision, and my experience is most of the time they'll walk away saying, you know what, maybe I'd still disagree with you, but at least I understand exactly where you're coming from, and that means a lot. So, you might not always get everybody to agree with you, but, if a project is zoned properly, the need is there, the data shows it, and you know that there's going to be people unhappy about it, then you just have to try to minimize the effects of that. But that's what you're there to do. It's not a great job sometimes.
I think we all know that change is hard. And I think we've all been there where something new comes into our life or our neighborhood, and it feels tough to process that. But I think processing that is a lot easier when you feel like somebody is listening to you and somebody has your back, even if you don't agree on everything. So I think making sure that the communication between council and residents for any kind of projects like this is very clear and very considerate and polite and open. Now, you won't always be able to reveal all of the details of a project, but as a councillor, I am definitely going to strive to explain to the constituents of Ward 2 and the city why I'm making any decision that I'm making, and really put that information out there publicly so that they understand my thought process. And then if we don't agree, it happens sometimes, and you're not going to win over everyone every time, but I'm going to have solid reasoning for all of my choices. I'm going to be data-driven, and I'm going to try and keep the best benefit for the ward in mind with whatever decision I make.
I agree. Number one thing comes down to facts and data. Facts and data, but also our constituents are very important, and if they don't understand or they're opposed to something, maybe it's because they don't understand or they don't have certain information that you might be able to share or enlighten to them or listen to them. They should definitely be heard, whether you agree with them or not, or whether the council as a whole agrees with them or not. They should definitely be heard. They're citizens. They're the reason why we're here. Things should try to fit into like a plan in the city. You just can't throw things anywhere here or there. But the biggest thing we have to do as a council, our power is on some of these things is rezoning and making sure it's the right fit for the city. And sometimes if a parcel of land's already zoned a certain way, my understanding is and a certain thing's going to go in there and it meets that zone and there's very little they can do. Sometimes it comes down to the environmental assessments from the province and stuff like that. But the number one thing we can do, especially if it goes to zoning, is make sure that it's zoned properly and it's something that we want. It fits in with the community and the city as a whole. Thank you.
Yeah, so one thing, as everyone really has been going on about, is talking in regards to the zoning and the permits and everything. We do need, as always, the public's feedback on everything, and the public should be always informed on everything that is going on. Obviously, there's some red tape always and when it comes to anything from provincial, federal, from any third-party company or anything that the city gets, there's always going to be some red tape that we'll have to leer around and everything, but the public should be informed on those informations as the studies come out, as the impact reports come out, alongside with the fact of, is there going to be an increase in jobs? Is there going to be an increase in anything that's going to massively impact in a positive or negative way? The city is responsible to inform the public on that and to cut down on the miscommunication from what we see from people posting online that are just skimming, reading through and saying, oh, they're saying this and this, and it's not true. We just need to make sure as council members and as a city, as a collective, if it comes down to being an award, we need to make sure that everything is channeled through properly and we're making sure that everything is informed and filled out fully so that everyone is aware of it.
Is anyone else bummed on these chairs? Jeez. Okay, so honestly, I would look at that win versus loss. What are you giving up and what are you getting in return? If you're getting in return more than what you're giving up, then it's something to truly consider. I've been getting a lot of emails about the Laurenville project that's going on. There's just not enough data given out. Are we getting 3 million taxes? Are we getting 7 million taxes? I mean, there's a wide range of issues, environmental study impacts. They're asking me what I support or not support it. I can't even give an answer on that because all the numbers aren't in it. Like my constituents said here, my colleagues, it's all about the data, right? So we have to have the data. But bottom line, it comes down to what are you giving up? What are you getting back in return? So if it's more beneficial, then then it would be the way to go, I would think. I mean, you would get everyone's opinion on the issue, but when you're given all the information, yeah, win versus loss. Thank you so much.
Where do you think people get most frustrated dealing with the city? And what would you do? And what would you do to fix that?
Well, I'm gonna move to what does the city need to stop doing? We need to stop saying, no, we can't, and we don't do it that way. We've always done it this way. We're in a culture change. It started, and we need to keep at it. As I said before, people are people, and we have some great people, but they're in the wrong spots. And of course, like any organization or any business, we have people that are in the wrong business. But I think that, if something's going to change, I think it's just culture. I think, and it takes time. I came from an organization that went from a public service to a crown corporation overnight, and all of a sudden we had to start paying our own bills. And let me tell you, there was a lot of mind changes going on very quickly. But it took years to get to where they needed to be, and by the looks of it, they're still not there. But anyway, I think that building a culture of yes, we can get over this, we can go around that and make this happen, is where we need to be, because far too long we've been putting up roadblocks and saying, no, we can't do it, leaving it at that.
I believe the city need to stop giving band-aids. It's very simple. We need to be more accountable, and we need to be proactive and not reactive. We have many situations, many controversial issue with the city that people see. I see myself that the city give band-aid. Is speed bumps. It's band-aid. This one, we are not working together to make the city street safe by fixing the potholes. We wait until May, until people cars are damaged, and then we solve the problem. This is kind of reactivity. We need to be proactive. We don't need the residents to wait to complain to fix the issues. We need to solve it as soon as possible, and we need to be proactive and accountable in front of the public. Thank you.
Okay, I got to say, I didn't hear the question, and the responses were so different. I didn't. Can you repeat it?
I thought it was a pretty good question.
No, I'm sure it is. I just never heard it.
Where do you think people get most frustrated dealing with the city?
Oh, most frustrated?
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, now I see why all the chuckles are going. Honestly, I think when things move forward or don't get moved forward and they don't have the information that they were required to do it. So like I say, if they see something going forward and they don't understand or nothing's been brought to their attention, I'll give an example. Okay, so I've been just contacted with Friends of Rockwood Park, and they're upset about the losing their part of their land in the park. Totally understandable. I told her I'd get back to her because I don't have all the information on that, on what they're doing there. Did the city own the land? Did they buy it for park services? These are all issues you have to take into account. She had mentioned to me, she goes, well, they're looking to get development. I understand the city doesn't have a lot of land, but I couldn't answer because did the city purchase, they said you purchased it in 75, did they purchase it for the city land? In which case, well, I'd have to see all the facts on that. So did they purchase it to extend our park area? These are things I have to look to. If that's the case, then, so like I said, I think it comes down to having all the information, and that's making people frustrated. So it's getting all the data. Thanks.
So the one thing that even myself was experiencing frustration with before deciding to run within the council is not having all the information presented to us in clear language and having the channels posting, and was conflict in how certain things were worded and how they were misconstrued and everything. The one thing that I know is a big frustration is the communication side, is we need to be more of an open communication to an extent, obviously, but an open communication is what's required. We're serving the citizens of this city. We're not serving a higher mind or anything like that. It is the city itself that we're serving, and it's the citizens. And we need to have the actual avenues that everyone knows what's happening, everyone knows what's coming. Like the speed bumps that Mohammed brought up and everything, the public should be aware of why the reasoning those speed bumps were put in, why the decision of that street, of that area, of that zone, or anything like that. All that should be public in clear text and nothing more than that. It shouldn't be some political way of wording it or digging through a site to get it.
I spoke with some people, numerous people actually, And one of the common things I get from a lot of people who are passionate about certain issues that have happened in the city or are going to happen is they feel like, and I'm not saying it's so, but they perceive it, or it is real, that decisions are made before it's proposed to them. Like, it's just being rubber stamped when it's presented to them. It's like, it's just a formality more so than that actually them have an input or say on it. So the biggest thing, again, which was part of communication, which comes down to communication, and there is information out there, but is it reaching the right people? What demographic? Because every demographic uses different avenues to get their information. So again, what demographic is going to be affected by it? Maybe they need to look at it and put a little more effort into that. So again, it goes full circle. Is it communication? Because people feel like, oh, they just presented this, but it's already a done deal. There's nothing I can do, nothing I can say about it. They're not listening to me, when that may not be the case. And maybe they did put the information out there, but they're dealing with seniors who don't follow Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, stuff like that. Thank you.
I've been knocking on quite a few doors, and the thing that keeps coming up again and again is feeling that it's very hard to sometimes get an answer to your questions, whether that's to your counselor or it's to City Hall. And I think we've all probably experienced that special kind of frustration that comes from throwing something out there and just waiting and waiting. And it's better to hear no than it is to be in that waiting loop. So as a counselor, I want to be able to advocate for those people that if they are reaching out to the city and they're not hearing back, I want them to know that they can reach out to me, and I'm going to try and follow up with them. I might not have any more success than they do, but at least we'll be able to lean on each other's shoulders and commiserate about that. And ideally, be able to get them those answers, even if the answer is not now, not till 2028, not till whenever. That's still better than just waiting and wondering.
Bus service is a municipal responsibility, and the budget is made up of fare box revenue and subsidy. Would you be in favor of increasing the subsidy to improve service?
Can you say that again?
Sure. I mean, bus service is often raised as a responsibility of the municipality, and it's certainly in a city this large and is so infrequently dense, it becomes an issue of funding. And funding can come from fare box revenue or through municipal subsidies. Would you be in favor of increasing a municipal subsidy to improve service?
I think when you're asking whether you should increase municipal funding to any service, you need to look at the data behind it. And the most important thing we can do with our transit system is have it serve the high density areas and the areas where ridership is needed. So on council, I would push for, in the next review of the transit system, to make sure we're heat mapping to see where we're getting riders. What are the lines that need service? Does the university need more service? Does the hospital need more service? The most important thing for transit system is that it's efficient, first of all. It needs to be able to get people where they need to go reliably. Then we can look at perhaps expanding the service. But transit should be an option for the people who, A, don't have vehicles and need to use transit, and B, in the areas where we're planning density so that we can have transit service to those areas and it's going to have maximum usage.
I've actually had some emails since I put my name forward for this issue. And I responded and I told them I need to get more information and look into it, because I took the bus maybe once a month the odd time. So since then, I've taken the bus. I actually took the bus here. To get the rate. But again, it all comes down to budgets, funding, ridership, data. And again, the bottom line comes down to municipalities, I don't believe are allowed to run a deficit. So if you give more money and you open up somewhere else, where are you going to take it from? What are you going to do? And are you going to expand something somewhere for one or two people that might get used once or twice a week? Maybe there's options like the last few years. I know the city has the flex bus, so maybe they could expand that in different areas, budget dependent, ridership, data, stuff like that. But again, you need to have it. Bus service needs to be reliable. It needs to be dependable, and it needs to be a reasonable amount of time. You can't expand it, have someone who used to take 25 minutes to get somewhere, all of a sudden 50 minutes and stuff like that. It all comes down to money and budgets, ridership data. So again, any decision you make has to consider the data and go from there. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, as they were saying about the data and everything, I've had an individual personally reach out to me in regards to transit and the flex buses, and I didn't know much on the flex transit system, and they did a little bit of deep diving into it, and I've noticed how it actually structures, and I've talked to a couple of my friends and a couple of my colleagues at work who rely on transit and everything, and it's definitely something that needs to be looked into from the data standpoint on heat map wise of what stops and what transit locations are more highly density, like if the one route's higher on Sundays and we're not really accommodating for that, maybe we need to look into structuring that a little bit differently. But like one of the ones I noticed was when I was looking into flex for the individual that reached out to me was the density of stops in certain areas could be spread out a little bit more because of how the flex was structured from what I was gathering the information on and how it was explained to me. It's definitely something that we as a city need to make sure that not only we gather that data and get that all sorted out, but also make sure that we can make it work within the funding and see if there's any way that we can wiggle around to get more funding if we need to get any of that.
100% I would support more funding. Obviously, I'd have to be on council to see if we'd have the funds to do that. So anyway, what I would look at is, well, not look at, it's mostly low-income people that use the transit system in the North End. Like I said, we have a high poverty rate here, 30%, which is crazy. Why I would want the extra funding is because I like to keep rates low. Obviously, rent is obviously crazy enough. It pushes towards homelessness. And I would like to see if we could possibly even free for people on assistance, I mean, to get them out of their deficits. And add more routes if this is what they need. So yeah, 100% I would look to push for that, especially in this area, like I said, where everyone uses this system. Thanks.
I manage budget, and taking budget decision is always hard. So the problem is the city is that you need at the end of the year to balance the budget. So any increase in any fund, you need to see where will you bring the money. Will I support it? Yes, I will support it, but I have to look at the data and know where I will bring the budget to support this. Myself, what I need to do, I believe the buses here lacking lots of things. In many countries I lived in, for example, extended hours. No one should choose between choosing to work and paying $50 for the taxi. This is a choice everyone in San John, I believe, many people are taking this choice speaking during the weekend. And I believe also one resident I met, which broke my heart, he told me sometimes I have to choose to walk because I am not able to find the gas price. So this is big challenge. I would go with the people. I would prefer the people. I will stand for the people, but I will look at the budget where I will bring the money from. Flex buses are great, but I believe we need to work on similar case. Look at Swavel. Swavel is very nice service. I have seen it running in Egypt and Saudi Arabia. We need to have some similar model here in San John where we have private sector, for example, with our bus system. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think Brian said a lot of what I was thinking, but I also, I mean, we have a transit commission, okay, and they are on top of what's going on around the region, the country, you know, best practices and so on and so forth. And I think we've come a long way with the flex service, but, you know, we have a long way yet to go. I don't know that right now we could expand the service that we offer and improve the service that we already are doing. I mean, it's just too much on the plate at one time. I think that with the budget restraints that we have, you know, we can do some. I'm looking forward to, you know, the funding that's going to come available in the next couple of years. Because in 2028, we're going to have $10 million a year that we don't have to put into that pension fund that was in such a ramble when we took over in 2012. That'll be paid off, and that's $10 million. And I'd like to see a good chunk of that go to transit, because at the end of the day, if we could make transit free, we could reduce emissions, we can get people to and from their work and school, and I think it's just a better, cleaner way of doing it. Larger cities are doing it now, and I think we have that capability in a couple of years. Thank you.
New Brunswick has the second highest rate of self-reported disability in the country. It's about 35%. What's one accessibility barrier in St. John that makes it harder for people to participate fully, and what would you do about it?
I actually had a couple of surveys about this to do that were emailed to me, and I thought long and hard about it, and I did some research. It's a very tough subject, very sensitive subject for some people to tackle, because how can you say you're going to help this group of people and not this group of people? And how can you say you could do this for them and not this for them? And it comes down to, unfortunately, a lot of these things come down to budget restraints and money, which is what the world operates on, and I hate to even say that. So I think we got to look at a case-by-case basis, and maybe we can even, like, simple things like encourage developments, and even our own municipal developments, to make sure that they are more accessible for many different disabilities, whether it be physical impairment, visual impairment, or whatever it may be. Whenever we're doing renovations or redoing roads and sidewalks, look at what we can do better. Consult with the groups and the disability groups themselves and see what can we do, how can we fit it in, because maybe there's things that are very simple to do that cost very limited that we can do that we're not already doing. But it's just very hard to say you're going to help somebody and not somebody else. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a really tough category to just kind of pick one area or one avenue to go down in. It needs a broader perspective of what we can do as a collective for maintaining current procedures that may be in place that are working, or adjusting or tweaking anything that needs to be adjusted. One of the things that I know that I've seen and witnessed is, I know we're slowly working on it, but trying to improve sidewalks and sidewalk maintenance to ensure that anyone who has vision disability or anything with mobility-wise, to make it easier for them to navigate, especially in our ward. We're right in, almost in the heart of Old North End, and a lot of these sidewalks are starting to fall in a little bit of a disrepair, and it needs to be looked into to make sure that there's safe travel for anything, and making it that any of those individuals who are suffering from mobility side can actually navigate and get into areas that they need to get to without running risk of anything. But again, it's a hard area to just kind of pinpoint. It's something that's a very broad thing that needs to be looked at overall.
Yeah, I've actually been looking into this, so I actually have some points here that I put down on my notes. Definitely lower curbs. And things like that. And with that, actually, I've been even getting comments about the sidewalks uptown with the bricks and how that's hard. That had never truly occurred to me before until I started looking into this. Also, just some of my points that I put down in here, ensuring that material, all city like transit and schedules and announcements use plain language with clear audible options. I also had visual formats and icons, upgrading transit information with apps and digital displays, making emergency announcements, so text alerts, sirens, visual strobes. These are a lot of issues that honestly, I'm even ashamed to say, but I didn't even know these were concerns. Well, obviously I knew they were concerns, but I didn't realize how hard it was to get around, because I never truly thought about it, and it would be very difficult. Oh my God! I mean, this is you know, it totally needs to be addressed. And yes, some of these issues, and I'll keep fighting to find out what the issues are, and I'll address them even more. Thanks.
Accessibility is a big issue in our city. Especially we have, I believe, 41 person with disability. Recently I made interview with one of them, and unfortunately, many of us can be disabled tomorrow. It's not a choice. So we need to make sure that our roads, our sidewalks, our environment is always accessible to these people. I believe early planning, we need to include this for the developers in early planning. We don't have to wait until the last minute, then we bring it later, because acting proactively always help us reduce the budget and help us maintain the environment in a safe way. For example, senior homes. Imagine being a senior person with disability and, for example, your sidewalks has not been cleaned for 3 days. How you will feel? Imagine also you are a kid walking to the school because the province asked you to walk if the distance is less than 1.5 kilometers, and you have to walk in the streets unsafe between the cars because the snow has not been cleaned. We need to work on this issue. We need to listen to the people. We need to make sure that it's one of our top priority because we need to put ourselves in place of these people. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say that in this ward, we're getting work done on like 15 streets, I think, and probably 10 of them are getting new sidewalks and curbing, for the very safety aspect and upgrade. And I've always been interested in accessibility, but recently it's been heightened. I had spinal surgery in December, and prior to that, I was at times forced to use a walker to get around. So I went to a rink for a meeting and found that I couldn't get into the rink. I have a new appreciation for the word accessibility. I think we need to do a lot better job clearing the way for people. For example, it's one thing to plow the street and plow the sidewalk, but if you've got a mound of snow between the street and the sidewalk and you've got a walker or a wheelchair, it's no better. You're no better off. So I think we need to do more of that, in terms of keeping that in mind. Everybody that works for the city needs to keep that in mind and say, you know what, this isn't going to work if we leave it like that. And by the way, the issue with the rinks is going to be resolved, so I'm glad to hear that.
So data from the 2022 survey on disability had 41.6% of St. John respondents self-reporting having a disability. So if you look down your row of 10 seats and 4 of those people have a disability, that's something that we really need to make a priority item. So it's difficult to pick a single issue because disability is extremely varied and it's unique to every person. But one that I've heard personally, I was attending the North End Mission when they were doing their lunch on Thursday. And I heard from multiple people there that there were times this winter where they were not able to leave their home because of the snow clearing of the sidewalks. And not being able to leave your home, it takes away so much of your independence, and it takes away so much of your feeling that you really belong in this city, that this city is somewhere where you can make your positive contribution, not to mention the impact that it can have on people's livelihoods, their mental health state, which is often an underthought about aspect of disability as well. So if I'm just gonna pick one thing from the plethora of things that we could work on, that's one that I've heard about firsthand from people. And the winter management plan is coming up for review shortly, and that's something that we need to look at pretty seriously when we are reviewing that plan.
We're getting close to the end, but can you think of one decision that you would make or one policy that you would push that would be unpopular but necessary?
Thanks for the encouragement. Okay, this is an interesting one to start with. It would definitely be one of the things I want to look into is a policy that we have right now. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. Would be coming down to how our spending is fully divided up and how everything is worked out from a spending standpoint. I know it's a hard topic, but there's certain sides that definitely, when you look into the actual budget and how it was structured, is a little bit more weighed one way or the other that can cause a bigger issue for other subjects and other parts within it, from public safety, from transit, from accessibility, from winter maintenance. Everything we've covered today, it's all something that comes back to our budget, from our partnership within the province and the federal government and the funding that we get from them. some of that funding is not used properly in the public's mind, and in my mind there is some of that stuff that is valid and is true that we definitely need to look into, and I feel like that would be the best way I could answer that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm thinking you're asking, is there something that I would push forward that wouldn't be popular? Is that what you said? You don't know what you said? What? Is that what it is? So something unpopular that I would push forward? Well, God, I don't want to get on council. That's not going to happen, is it? Yeah, I honestly don't know how to answer that. I really don't. What would I push that's unpopular? Yeah, I don't know. I honestly can't think of anything. I mean, we have a lot of issues, and yeah, unpopular. No, honestly, that's yeah. I'm gonna pass that to you.
I will help you. More bike lanes and speed bumps. So, I will speak honestly about this one. The first question or the first decisions that I will try to make, I will try to remove bring a special committee to handle the code of conduct. We should work as a team. I worked in multinational companies. I worked with different teams, diversity teams from all over the world. We should not be voting against each other when there is a conflict or something or make a political gain. We should work in a team, collaborative. When any code of conduct should be raised, it should go to a special committee to handle it away from the mayor, away from the councillors in the committee. This will help us have balanced relation, I believe, at least. It will be controversial, I know, but this, I would think about something positive. Thank you.
Well, I can think of a couple of things. I guess that's because I'm on council. I think one of the things that we need to keep on doing, and people, a lot of people don't like it, but you know what? It's working, and that is active transportation lanes. You know, there has to be a destination. You know, there was a time we didn't have any roads in St. John. We didn't have any cars. We got roads now. We got all kinds of cars. So, you know, you build these active transportation lanes. You're making it accessible for people in wheelchairs, scooters, children, you know, anything, bicycles, you name it. You're getting a demographic of your population that otherwise wouldn't be able to get from point A to B if they're not driving a car. And ideally, what you want to do is you want to get your emissions down, you want to get people healthy, you want to get, you know, able to go from A to B and do it safely. That's the key right there. Other cities are doing it, and people are coming in droves with bicycles, scooters. These electric scooters are going to explode. And I think that's one of the things that we have to do. And you know, the speed bumps, they're working. The people are feeling safer. Now, you know, people that like to go fast, they don't like them, but people that want to feel safe, they're loving them. And we don't do this without getting input from the people. We get a list of people that want this stuff, so we're acting on what the public want.
I am going to be steadfast in trying to create the city that I want my kids to grow up in. And I dream of my kids being able to ride their bike to Milledgeville North School from Summer Street in the North End right now. I would not do that right now. I value them too much to put them into that. But could we make it happen? Yes, we could. Am I going to get mud thrown at me for making that decision? Yes, I am. But this is about my kids' future and the kind of city that I want to progress into, and the kind of city that in 20 years we'll look back and say, wow, isn't it great that we have livable, connected neighborhoods? And I think we're all going to benefit from that. So I'll take the flak now to make that future a reality.
I think the biggest part with the bike lanes is nobody knows, they don't all connect yet. There's no connection, no destination. So I think once that comes, people will see the vision, see where it's going to go. But the biggest thing that I think that people will be mad at me unpopular is almost every decision. There's going to be somebody unhappy, unfortunately. I mean, been on different boards, and I've worked at different places, and I work at a nursing home for 36 years now. I know every decision we make there, somebody's always unhappy, or it adversely affects somebody, but you do your best to try to solve them, and you try to listen to them, and you try to answer them, you try to reassure them, because that's the biggest thing when you're talking to people, to try to make sure that they know that you're listening to hear, you're not listening to speak. And just make sure that they know that they're heard and you're doing your best. And what you're doing is the best thing for St. John as a whole and Ward 2 that we live in and are elected to represent if we happen to get elected. That's the biggest thing. Almost every decision, not everybody's going to be happy. So, unfortunate, that's the way it is. But it's hard to accept, but that's life. Sorry, the time's up.
We're almost out of time. I'm going to offer each candidate a minute to sort of wrap up, offer any concluding observations, and then we'll call it a night. I guess we'll start at the very end. John, do you want to start? The reverse order from...
Always great to be first. Look, I want to thank everybody for coming out. It means a lot to get some people out here that are interested in what we're doing. It's been my honor and privilege since 2012 to serve Ward 2 and watch the city grow and now I can say prosper to some degree because we've come a long way. And, going into this municipal election, I'm looking to have, myself get reelected, hopefully, but also have 5 new councillors, right? And it'd be great to have a balance. And I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully, I'll get some support this coming election and continue doing what we're doing and going in the right direction. Thanks very much for coming out, people.
I would like to thank everyone for being here today, listening to this discussion with my colleagues. I know that 2 of us will be on council, and they have to work hard to serve the residents of St. John. I want you to just follow me on Facebook if you need to know more about the ideas I'm thinking of as a councillor if I'm elected. And thank you so much for being here today. Thank you all.
Yes, I would like to thank everyone for coming to and welcoming me to this event. It's a great way to get to meet everybody and to see where they stand. A lot of these questions that we've been asked tonight, I've had posts on my Facebook, Wilson First St. John, go through and see exactly where I stand on all these issues. I just want to bring my wealth management background and my education and my business and to help with budgets, to help invest in our assets. Did that just go off on me? Who's got the remote? And I'd really like to. I really want to. I love this city so much. Obviously, if you see my posts, you'll know that. And I just see like the homelessness problem and the poverty problem, and that's just it's really getting under my skin. So I really want to focus on that. I want to push our governments for funding, and I want to work hard to bring everyone a better life here in St. John. Okay, be more prosperous. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're probably all going to sound like a broken record, but again, thank you guys for coming out and definitely hearing our opinions on any of the topics that were brought up today. It's definitely great to see the great turnout that we had today, especially a mix of generations that were here in the actual room. Some have left already, but it was nice to see that there is a big engagement from multiple different generations of St. Johners, and it's definitely something that if you have any questions outside of what was brought up today, or if you wanted more information from myself, I have pamphlets over on the far table there that you can get my cell number or even my email. You can also find it right on the GMB site to reach out if you want more elaboration or a different topic that wasn't brought up today. Feel free to always reach out to me, and same with all of us on the candidate board here.
Hello, I'd like to thank the Human Development Council for having this and the Nicole Center. First of all, I think it's a great forum to have. I'm happy to see everybody here. I know it's being streamed, so I don't know how many people are actually watching it from other places. And number one is I'm a proud St. Johner. I've never wanted to leave St. John. I love St. John. I have 3 children that live here, I've raised here, and I want them to stay here. I want to see St. John a city that they want to stay as well and be able to prosper and be able to work and raise their children if possible here. I would also like to see St. John grow. We need development to increase we need to increase our tax base to get money, because most of the money that the city gets comes from property taxes. So again, we need to work together, whoever ends up on council, collaboratively to strengthen St. John as a whole and to work and to strive forward. And the biggest thing is, we as St. Johners need to get rid of this image that, why would you want to come to St. John? You should be coming to St. John. This is the place to be. We want you here, and we need to try to, sorry, time.
In my professional life, when people walk through my door, they have a problem. I sit down with them and I listen. I ask them questions to find out more about what the issue is, and then we make a plan. And we work on it, not just me, but together. And we reevaluate that plan to see if it's actually working. And if it's not, we make changes. If there's things that I don't know, I collaborate with my colleagues. We make it a better plan together. And these are exactly the skills and the approach that I want to bring to the council table. Collaboration, accessibility, communication, data-driven results, and working together, because I think when we work together, that's when we'll really have positive outcomes for this city, and we all want that. So thank you to the Human Development Council, to Civic Tech, for all of you guys here. I hope I get more chances to do this kind of thing with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you to all the candidates for your participation and for putting your names forward for public service. Thank you as well to everyone who joined us, both here and online. Strong communities depend on informed and engaged residents, and your presence matters. We hope today's discussion has been helpful as you consider your choices in the upcoming election. Please complete the survey that's available. It's online, it's found on our website, it's found on our QR code. And I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you that there are advanced polling, voting opportunities. You can attend the district returning officer at St. Mark's United Church on Dexter Street at any time between Monday and Friday from 7 to 9 p.m., 7 a.m. and 9 p.m., and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And advanced polls are on May the 2nd and May the 4th, and voting day, of course, is on May the 11th. Thank you again for being here. Have a good day.